Warning: the following content contains video and audio that some viewers may find soulful, groovy, and addicting. Viewers may find themselves bopping their heads, tapping their feet, and/or dancing uncontrollably. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the beginning there was Jack, and Jack had a groove, and from this groove came the grooves of all grooves. And while one day viciously throwing down on his box, Jack boldly declared, "Let there be house," and house music was born.
You can go sit in that brown chair right there and just state your name and what you do.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ameerbrooks. I'm a DJ and producer from New Jersey. I'm 22 years old and have been DJing for the last 15 years of my life. And I specialize in all things house music.
Interesting. By the way, you look great today.
Oh, I appreciate that. You don't look too bad yourself.
Nah. You flatter me. So why don't we get to the real questions? Why house music?
Why house music? Well, it's all in the feeling, really. House is just more than music to me, and to a lot of people. It's a spiritual thing. It represents love, loss, beginning but also ending. And I know that sounds over-exaggerated and poetic, but there truly is something different about the energy that is exchanged from dancer to DJ and vice versa. When I'm playing, or really any DJ is playing, it doesn't matter who's out there dancing. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, young, old, in the middle, it really doesn't matter. Most of the time, I don't even see these people's faces, but I feel their heartbeats, their steps across the dance floor, and I guide them, from a festival in New York to a club in London, it's the same feeling. Us house heads, we eat, sleep, and breathe this music, and once this music takes hold, it truly puts us in a trance for hours on end. And it truly is a sight to see if you're able to.
Backtrack for a bit. Where does house originate?
That's a good question, because it changes honestly between who you're asking. Some say Chicago, others say New York. Some may even try to say New Jersey, but there probably is a definite answer. But me personally, I've always thought of Chicago as a birthplace of house. If you look it up, Jesse Saunders has the first house song named On and On, and he's still thriving in Chicago. And I would say even house music's still thriving in Chicago. They had the Chosen Few picnic every year. 40,000 people gather. And this is not tech and EDM and progressive where it's a bunch of raging, college students there to party and get drunk. This is devoted house heads coming from all over the world to feel the rhythm. It started back with the Paradise Garage, and it started with Zanzibar, and all these different clubs in New Jersey, New York, and Chicago, but it was all the same music. So it doesn't really matter where it started, to me at least, And I always try to pay my dues, as some would say, but the feeling's the same. I would say that honestly, if transport me back in time, I would be able to pick up right where I left off, because the music is just that timeless, and it's just that soulful, not to be very punny about it. I think my favorite experience DJing in the last 15 years would have to have come in the summer of 2022. July 10th was the date. I'll never forget it. Soul Summit Music Festival in Brooklyn. And I originally, when I was first asked to open up this festival, me personally, I was excited because it is an honor to play Soul Summit, for those that don't know. But I was a little apprehensive because it at times, playing in front of nobody, playing in front of the grass, playing to the grass, is a little bit heart-wrenching because you for at least for me, I spend months at a time studying music and gathering music together. And then to go somewhere and there's nobody there to hear all the hard work you put in, it does get frustrating. But it's not that opening is something that I'm better than. It's more of, I want people to hear me and understand me, and I want to be able to put my energy forth into the world. And I don't talk the best, even right now I'm stuttering, but when it comes to music, I can always tell people what I want them to know. But as I digress, Soul Summit, we get there 2 hours before the festival even starts, and people are already setting up tents and setting up camp, and people are already on the dance floor. Even the dance floor is not even put together yet. So I get up there, and it's about an hour before my set. Now, after we set up our own little camp, and I plug in my drive and I play "Taste of the Future," which is an Afro house song, and I just loop the beginning. And there was this guy, he was shirtless in the front, but he just stood there, and he was just stood there holding the rail, just eyes closed for maybe. And this loop went on for maybe half an hour to an hour. And soon, there was like a little crowd just sitting there listening to this loop over and over again. Because I wasn't supposed to start playing for an hour, but I had just the loop on just so we could continue sound check and all that, so we know everything's right. But it was strange because nothing profound was happening, but the music was still moving. It was just a 60 bar loop. So it was just the same thing over and over again. But people were just sitting there and they were in a trance. And then when I start playing off the bat, these people are already with me. I basically didn't have to do any work because we immediately had that connection. And from there on, I was only supposed to play an hour and a half. I ended up playing 4 hours. And by the time I was finished, I look up. There's 10,000 people in front of me. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, where the hell did all these people come from? But the most beautiful thing about Soul Summit was that you truly saw that house touches everybody. Because it wasn't just black people there. A lot of festivals in New Jersey, it's mostly a black affair. And it's not that other races or other people are not invited. It's just a lot of this music started in black clubs in the black community, so it's followed that. But Soul Summit transcended that, and it wasn't just black people, it was white people, Asian people. In the song, the song it goes, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Jew, Gentile, it doesn't make a difference in our house. And that is true.
You may be black, you may be white, you may be Jew or Gentile. It don't make a difference in our house. And this is rest.
You had young people and old people standing side by side, dancing to the same beat for hours. Little hours, not moving in a big mob. And then you go, and once I finish playing, I get off and I go get some air, go back to the camp, and there's people all around the park. So you have this big mob of a few thousand people, and then you have another 5,000-6,000 spread out across this big old park, all listening to the same music, all just vibing out in their little groups to the same music. And it's like, not to get all sci-fi and fantasy about it, but you feel people's auras. You feel you all exchange energy with each other. It has an ups and downs. Maybe the weed smoking is not something that I enjoy too much, but it comes with the territory. I took my acid pump maybe a few times that day, but I would say it's one of the best days in my DJing career. One concept that I find to be very, very important is this idea of passing the torch to the next generation. And, our section of house is classic house, soulful house, Afro house. A lot of the DJs and the house heads in general are not of the younger generation, they're boomers. No, that's not an insult, it's true. You don't have a lot of people under 30. And for that matter, you don't have a lot of DJs under 30, in their 20s or below that. So it's time for the torch to be passed, and think about all the stories and the fables that get passed from generation to generation, and those make those stories and fables that much more meaningful and important. So for this music to keep giving that feeling to people and giving that feeling and being a meaningful music, the torch needs to be being passed, and to keep the next generation moving, keep this music alive. Oftentimes you hear people talk about house as a dying music, and I don't know if that's necessarily true, because you have Drake and Beyonce making house tracks, but when it comes to, it's not the same as an Afro house track or a classical house track. There are newer additions to house, so I can see where people are coming with that, but there are dozens of younger DJs willing to fill that gap, and I think that people just need to be a lot more open to them. You have Just the DJ, my younger sister Joseph, she does her thing. In Chicago, you got J-Star. In Baltimore, you have Jordan Pope and you have Angel, and they all play this music, and they all feel this music, and they all love this music. So the love is there for the music. The people just need to embrace this younger generation. And it doesn't always happen. I think a lot of people talk about passing the torch, and they say, oh, it's time to pass the torch, but they never put that into action. They might have a younger person open. Well, what is opening at 11 o'clock doing for somebody? They're not getting no exposure. They just on the card. Their name is just there. They just playing to grass. So if you really want to pass this torch, then I think a lot more people need to be open to having younger DJs, maybe not even headlining, but playing that 3 o'clock slot at a festival where there's a good amount of people there to hear them, and testing them out. You know, I'm not saying throw them to the wolves and put them at 6 o'clock and at the height of everybody being at the festival, but let them play at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. When there's a lot of people there and people can hear them. If they don't do well, oh well. They buckle under pressure. Tell them to go practice. But these younger people, from what I've seen, they can handle it. So where is this pushback? Most of it is fear. Fear of giving up the limelight, fear of giving up the stage, but there's enough bread for everybody. This is not World War II, we're not rationing. So passing the torch is a very important concept. I guess not even just for house, but for anything. How can a society survive without the next generation? And I think it comes down to human nature. We just need to be a lot more open to our fellow human beings. And I think house is that music to do that. House is a music of love. It's a music of unity. A lot of house heads don't drink. If I'm think about it. From what I've seen, at least, from what I've experienced, a lot of people use house as an outlet to help in sobriety, to help get past addiction, to help recover from addiction. So extending that love to the next generation cannot be that hard.
Any closing remarks? Final words to say to the people watching?
Yes, okay, all right. So now that we're at the close of this, I hope people understand how much house means to me and how much house means to house heads. And, take that leap to try to listen to house, try to understand where people are coming from. And try to understand why I'm burning 3,000 calories at parties dancing while DJing. House is such a beautiful music, and I think if a lot more people internalized the message that comes from house and put forth, the love and the unity and all the feelings that house gives me, the world would be such a better place. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to a global community. House, or any music for that matter, is not something that is a singular person's experience. It's music in general has always been a shared experience. And back to this idea of sharing music and it being so much more meaningful because it's being shared, and it being that much more impactful because you have a group of people from all different backgrounds coming together to dance together. So the world is a very icky place, and it's a very strange place, but people just got to keep pushing on, love each other, and keep housing on. That's the new phrase, keep housing on. I should trademark that. But yes, I hope people understand how this music is more than music.